Okay, so now we know the actual names of our angles, right? And now we're going to really focus in on the relationships between those angles. So we're going to use words like congruent, which of course means equal, right? And supplementary, which means, right, add to 180. So there's different rules for different angles. So the first one is alternate interior, or what we call our Z angles. This is a tiny picture here, but you can see this kind of backwards Z here. And what we're going to learn is that if lines are parallel, that alternate interior angles are equal, always. And we'll show that with a picture. That'll make more sense. The relationship with same side interior angles, so this would be like angle 2 and angle 3 here. Well, you can see the word right there. Same side interior angles are supplementary. Same side supplementary, alternate interior are equal. I like to remember vowels with vowels. So A here and E here, those are both vowels. And then consonant, consonant. And you'll also hear me say a lot, same side supplementary, right? We have those three S's that go together. And then just as a reminder, we won't forget that vertical angles are always equal. We knew that already. And linear pairs are always supplementary. And this is always true whether or not the lines are parallel. So what we're going to have is what we're going to call our checkerboard. So you'll get used to it here, but I'm going to start filling in the other angles. So if 75 degrees is that angle, this one here, this alternate interior, would also be 75. This vertical angle would also be 75, and this vertical angle would also be 75. If I want to find the other angles, I would subtract from 180, so 180 minus 75 is 105. So these angles here are going to be 105. And if you use two colors, you can really see that checkerboard pattern. So angle 1 is 105. I know I answered more than that, but that's what angle 1 is. Angle 1 is 105 there. Here it starts off with 65 degrees, and so if I go to the alternate interior angle here, if I erase those, this is going to be 65. So angle 5 is 65. That answers the question. But if I fill in the rest of the checkerboard, 65, 65, 65. Vertical angles, alternate interior angles, and vertical angles. To find the other angle, I subtract 180 minus 65, which is 115. And these angles here are all 115, 115, 115. Starting to ask for more angles here, the 72 degrees, again, is going to be angle 3, alternate interior. So angle 3 there is 72 degrees. And then the other angles, if I subtract 180 minus 72, that's going to be 108, right? 108 degrees. 108 for angle 4, 108, 108, giving us our checkerboard pattern. And then onwards we go. It's really the same thing every time, just a different pair of numbers. So here I see 103. I do the vertical angle, the alternate interior angle, and then this angle. So angle 1 and angle 2 are both 103. And then if I want to find the other angle, I would subtract 180 minus 103 is 77. So 77 there, 77, 77, 77. So you start to see this pattern. So the angles in this picture that are congruent would be angle 1, angle 4, angle 5, angle 8. So congruent to angle 1 is angle 4, angle 5, and angle 8. Those are all congruent. Congruent to angle 2 would be angle 2, angle 3, angle 6, and angle 7 are all congruent. Now, if I say supplementary to angle 1, that would be add to 180. That's going to be all the green angles. Angle 2, angle 3, angle 6, angle 7 would all add up to 180. And supplementary to angle 2 would be all the purple angles. Angle 1, angle 4, angle 5, angle 8. So now we really start filling in the checkerboard. So each time they're giving me a different starting number, in this case 55. So I can fill in the vertical angle is 55, the alternate interior angle is 55, and the other vertical angle is 55. To find the other angle, I'm going to subtract 180 minus 55 is 125. 125, 125, 125. And it's hard to squeeze all that in. I think it's really helpful to use two colors. It's up to you. Now I see a 70, 70, 70, 70. This is kind of a classic example. If I subtract 180 minus 70, I get 110, 110, 110, 110. And you see that classic checkerboard. I also like this example with the 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. And if I subtract from 180, do you know what 180 minus 100 is? You're right, 80, 80, 80, 80, 80, 80, checkerboard. Now number 12, I'll put a star by. This is a double checkerboard. So this one's going to be a little intense here because I got all these 120s, but then I'm also going to do my diagonals here of 120 over here. Sometimes it's easier to say all the obtuse angles are equal, all the acute angles are equal. So all the obtuse ones were 120, and now here all the acute ones are 60, 60, 60, 60, double checkerboard. Now we did that double checkerboard intentionally because we wanted to point out on the inside of the double checkerboard you get a parallelogram. We've had that before. I'm going to transfer those numbers over here. They're a little flipped around because the obtuse and acute angles are switched. So it would be like the obtuse angles are 120 and the acute angles are 60. So the opposite angles of a parallelogram are equal, and the consecutive, which is the angles next to each other, are supplementary. And that's going to be something we really talk about in the next chapter that we're laying the groundwork for now. Opposite or equal, next to each other, supplementary. For the last three problems, we're going to do some algebra. So I'm going to help you with this. I'm going to say, what kind of angles are those two angles? Those are same side interior angles. Or we'll end up abbreviating SSI, same side interior. And you'll remember from up here, we said the relationship was same side were supplementary. So the relationship is supplementary. We just circle that. And what does supplementary mean? You're right, supplementary means adds up to 180. Not equal to each other, adds up to 180. So I subtract 108 from both sides, so 2x is equal to what, 72? So x is 36. And so I have you circle that so you know what to do for your equation. Next one, these angles are alternate interior angles, or we might say AIA, or just even AI, alternate interior. And if we go up to the top, what we wrote was alternate interior are equal or congruent. So here my equation is going to be x plus 35 equals 120, and I subtract 35 from both sides. So if I subtract 35 from both sides, I get x is 85. It's nice, we don't have to plug them back in, right? That's what's nice about it. The last one here, these angles are those opposite angles of a parallelogram, so I'm just going to say opposite. And the opposite angles are equal. And again, we have vowels with vowels, opposite equal. So x plus 15 equals 65, x is 50. Those questions on the bottom are going to be real important. We're going to do a lot of them in this chapter, not just in this section, where we see the type of angles, the relationship, and then we set them equal if they're congruent, add them up to 180 here if they're supplementary.